As we've built up our competitive model, we've talked a lot about how this model has some very nice properties. And in this chapter, we're going to actually see what those are. One of the things we talked about is how in the competitive model, in the long run, firms have zero profit. And we talked about in the last chapter how this would happen under certain assumptions on the market, how we needed free entry, we needed uh, many identical firms, and so forth. However, here we'll see that actually you don't really need to assume that there's free entry. Even if you have limited entry, you can still have this result that competitive firms in the long run would make zero profit. We're going to see that, and then we're going to look at the idea of producer surplus so that we can eventually take a look at overall societal welfare. We've seen already how to measure consumers' happiness through consumer welfare. Now we'll try to capture the welfare of the producers via something called producer surplus, which is kind of an analog of consumer surplus. So what it measures is the firm's gains and losses when there's a change in the equilibrium. And finally, we'll put those together and see how competition or the competitive equilibrium is actually the ideal point in terms of maximizing welfare. Welfare being measured as the consumer and producer surpluses. And we'll finally look at how we can use all of our tools that we've built to analyze the effects of various policies that would put a gap between demand and supply and keep us away from the competitive equilibrium. So things like taxes, price ceilings, price floors, tariffs, or you could also think of subsidies. These kinds of things are going to distort behavior. They're going to move us away from the true competitive equilibrium, and we would be able to use the tools we've built and the model we've built to measure the effects on societal welfare. So if you were trying to measure the costs and benefits of these types of policies, then the tools that we have developed here would end up being very helpful.